This is Paul Hannon, and I'm in the studio with Keith Craft, and you're in for the next half hour on Elevate Dallas 2009. And we're in for an excellent half an hour of interview with Keith Craft, who is also a leadership strategist and is the pastor of Celebration Covenant Church in North Dallas in Frisco, Texas. Keith, welcome.
It's great to be with you, Paul. We've got a lot of exciting things that we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely.
So today I'm excited to have you on the show as well.
Well, thank you, Keith. Our alignment and partnering, both in the spirit of this event, is utmost, but also in the strategy of the event. We've got a great array of speakers, and I think a good place to start would be to cast the vision. Why ElevateDallas.com is the website to go and look on sometime in the next 24 hours and log on and hear what we've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. This is a leadership event like no other, and I'm very excited about it because most leadership events are just seminar-driven. It's a lot of information. It's theoretical,
yes,
but it's not practical to the point of it being applicable.
Yes.
And I just want to invite all of the listeners to really consider being a part of this event. We're partnering with the City of Dallas, Mayor Tom Leppert. We're partnering with the state of Texas on this, and we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. But why are we doing this event, Paul, is the question that I want to answer. And again, if they go to ElevateDallas.com,
that's right,
they'll find out more information about who our speakers are, which we'll be talking about in just a minute. But I wanted to do a leadership event that would make a difference in the city of Dallas, and really in this hour. I think leadership is needed like no other hour. I think this hour demands great change. There's great change that's happening, and anytime there is great change, great leadership is demanded. And so
Definitely.
that's why we're doing the event. It's going to be an emphasis on leading yourself,
yes,
leading others, and ultimately leading in your community.
Yes, and the others is both self and business, and we should say pastors. And I just think it would be worth mentioning here, Keith, that when we say pastors, we don't want people to think this is a pastor's event. In fact, it's a kingdom event. It's an event where if you are a pastor listening, or you're a businessman who goes to a church, you need to encourage your pastor to come with you, and leaders, business leaders and church leaders from the church, because this is a kingdom event. John Maxwell, we'll talk about later, and a whole array of speakers are going to be challenging and equipping. This is an event like no other. As you said earlier, it's not about just a talk fest or information overload. Your model is think, be, do.
Right.
And that's going to happen at the seminar. People are going to think, they're going to be, and they're going to go out and know how to do.
Well, I really believe, Paul, that when you elevate your thinking, you elevate your life. And really, leadership before anything else is a way of thinking. And then it's a way of being, then it's a way of doing life. And the reason we're going to start by emphasizing self-leadership is because leading yourself is the most difficult thing that you'll ever do. John Maxwell, who is one of the keynote speakers with me in this event, is the leadership guru. Was voted the number one leadership guru, not just in America, but in the world. 2006, his book, 360-Degree Leader, was the number one leadership book in the world.
Across all segments of society.
So he's written many, many books, how to lead yourself, how to develop teams, how to lead other people. He's a guy that I've cut my teeth on as a leader, and now is partnering with us for this event, and I'm very excited about it because, again, everything starts at the thought level, and so we've got to change the way that we think if we're going to change anything in our life. There's so much focus on the modus operandi. There's so much focus on what we do in life, or even who we are in life, but there's not a lot of focus on how we think. And so at the core level of every individual, and of course God himself through Scripture in the book of Isaiah said, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts.
Excellent
my ways are higher than your ways. And as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts higher than your thoughts. And so I really do believe it's an invitation from God himself, as sons and daughters of God, as kings and priests, as people particularly and specifically in the marketplace, for us to think like God. But if we're going to think like God, we have to be taught how to think like God. And that's what we're going to do at this event, Paul. And that's why we've invited, again, John Maxwell. We've invited Stephen K. Scott. Stephen K. Scott, to put it in perspective, is a marketing strategist. In fact, he's a marketing guru. You may have heard of Total Gym. In fact, if you haven't heard of it, just flip the channels tonight, no matter what kind of, whether you have DirecTV or whether
Chuck
you have
Norris
satellite.
will be there.
Chuck Norris Workout is what the program is called.
Steve started that company.
You'll see Chuck Norris, Christy Brinkley, using a piece of equipment called Total Gym. It's done over $2 billion. Stephen K. Scott was the mastermind behind marketing that.
And we should point out to the listeners that when you go to elevatedallas.com for the November 13-14 event, they'll see the full bio of Stephen, and the fact that he is a man that bases everything he does from the book of Proverbs.
Right.
He talks about partnering, which so is in alignment with what you preach about and teach about alignment. And in business today, if we don't align the way we think, we're not going to do the things we think we're going to do. You know, it's like the old adage.
Well, it's all about that, Paul. It's about if you don't align yourself correctly, you'll be focused on your assignment. So many people are focused on assignment before alignment.
I was one of those people.
Yeah. Well, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is when you get your alignments right, it will dictate your assignments. You can't get the cart before the horse. The way you get the horse before the cart is you get your alignment right. In other words, you get your horse.
Yeah.
And then it pulls whatever cart. It doesn't matter what's in the cart, doesn't matter what's in the wagon. It's if you align yourself with the tool to pull the cart.
And you talked about the horses. One horse can pull 2,500. Oh man, I'll get the figures right.
Let me talk about that
story.
because it is an alignment principle that one horse can pull 2,500 pounds. So they did a study. If one horse can pull 2,500 pounds, then if you put two horses together, well, it would make sense that if one horse pulls 2,500, the other will pull 2,500. Well, that's 5,000 pounds. Well, what they found was when they hooked two horses together, while one horse by itself pulls 2,500 pounds, two horses together pull 12,500 pounds.
That's elevating your thinking right there.
That's the power of alignment. And of course, our listeners know that when one puts 1,000 to flight, but two put 10,000 to flight. Scripture says that if any two of you agree as touching anything, doesn't matter what the thing is, touching anything, it shall be done. So that's what this event is about. It's about leadership, certainly, but it's about partnering with the right people so that you can elevate your thinking and elevate your life.
Well, let's just look at this for a minute. When people go to elevatedallas.com, they'll see that John Maxwell is on for an exceptional amount, nearly 2 hours on both days.
Yes.
Stephen Scott, Keith Craft, other speakers, which we'll get to in a moment. When you just put those together, what's the power in the room going to be like? And as you know, we've planned an event that's strategically set out like a drama. Every speaker segment is like a scene in a drama, and it's going to build to an incredible climax on Sunday. We should just talk about, on Saturday, sorry. Yeah. We should just talk about the event.
Let's talk about that, Paul, because like you mentioned, Stephen K. Scott, one of our keynote speakers, but there are other speakers like Ted Cruz, who is
Solicitor General.
Who's the Solicitor General, former Solicitor General for the state of Texas. In other words, he represents Texas before the Supreme Court.
So why is he there? Why is he there?
He's there because